Well, hey everybody. Oh, there we go. There's the button. Hey everybody.
We good
I
now?
hit the button and everything went black and it was just thinking for a second. I got scared. Welcome to Adobe Office Hours. It is I, Andrew Hochradel, and my friend.
Nick Longo.
Got it. We're nailing that. Like we've
I
got that
know,
down to a
man.
pat. Yes.
We
And
need a theme song. We gotta start thinking big, dude. Come
It's
on.
true. It's true. We do. We need a theme song. I think today we'll introduce ourselves as the Wonder Twins because we'll be talking all about
There you
teamwork
go.
and collaboration here. Today we're talking about how to work with teams. If you are unfamiliar with the show, Office Hours is a place where you can come to get advice, get some perspective, and hopefully some good tips and tricks to help level up your portfolios, your professional skills, and really everything. Nick, do you want to talk a little bit about just overarching what we're going to cover today?
Sure. I do see. I know I'm getting a comment or two that my face is probably a little bit blurry. We're trying to upgrade to a better camera. Sorry, guys. They're a little short on them at Amazon right now. I'm working on it. And no, I didn't get a haircut. And hey, I think we have a birthday in the audience, Mr.
Hey,
Overturf Design Studios is
happy
celebrating a birthday
birthday.
today. I remembered. I'm getting there.
There we go.
We are here to talk about great stuff for you guys to kind of continue on either out of school, with school, wherever you are in your young design career. We're going to give you the advice and everything to kind of get started here. And today we're talking about, I think a lot of people asked for this in the chat. It was about just agency work or working with others. And now more than ever, if you're working with collaborations or at a team with an agency, you really do need to know those kind of things to kind of make sure you're making things really productive.
Absolutely. And so you can submit. Oh, there's. Oh, man, that came
Uh,
up in the wrong place. Sorry, I'm trying to turn on our vibes. I just realized that we don't have our
ah,
vibes going. If you
Gotta
want to
get the
submit
vibes
your
going.
portfolios and your work, you can do that. How, Nick, do they do that?
Is it above us with a Slack link?
Oh, it is right now. It very much is.
let's just, there it is.
That's it right up there. So you can go to the link floating above our heads, and that's the place where you can get involved with our community, our student community. You can put your work there. You can submit your portfolios, all of that up there. You also on social media can use hashtag Adobe Office Hours anywhere that you want on
Yes.
social media, Instagram, Behance, Twitter, wherever you want, and we will check it out. And Nick, we have something very special coming up next week for Office Hours. Do you want to talk about that? And I'll put it up on the screen.
Sure. So we are going to be guest speaking at the 3% conference, which I believe Adobe is a fine sponsor of.
Yes.
They asked us to kind of bring this little show on the road. Right? Like
That's right.
it would have been a trip, but times are tough, so we're all at home. So let's do it from our home office. But we are going to be reviewing a few portfolios live on their conference, and they are also sharing a really great previous episode of Office Hours that we did all about standing out. Particularly now more than ever, we're all trying to kind of have a resume or a website that stands out amongst the rest. So we will be doing that, I believe, on Wednesday next week, correct?
That is, yes, that is
Yes.
on Wednesday. And I do believe, Lisa or someone who's in chat, let me know. I do believe it's free for students.
That's what I saw.
Okay,
I did see that.
I think it's free for students. So free for students, come hang out, and that will be a fun place. And why does the Slack link have the Discord logo? That's actually such a great question.
What happened?
That's because I made it wrong. This show's been on
Oh,
for
no.
4 months, guys, and we're just now realizing that that's wrong. I did not even. Yep. So this is a Slack link with a Discord logo above it. I will have to fix that.
We gotta fix that.
I have not even thought about that. Good work, Girotima. Thank you so much. That is actually a great observation.
Yeah,
All right.
boy, everyone's catching everything today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Today's theme is you guys grilling us on the production of our show.
Yes.
As
Where to
always,
start? Take your pick.
If you do have suggestions or thoughts on what we can do with the show, 100% let us know in chat. Drop it in there, as well as let us know where you're watching from. If you're at a school
Where's
or if
everybody
you're
from?
just hanging out around the world. Studiodtalk is here. I think that
Yeah, we see
Studiodtalk's
ya.
in India.
I
Maybe
believe so.
We're going to look at some of that work a little bit later on in the program. But
Yeah.
let's hop in and talk about what we're going to talk about today. Nick,
Yes.
let's hop over into working with teams.
Perfect. All right. So we're each going to share what we like to call a few maybe commandments or like tips that we've seen over the years of the working in different agencies and running groups, being a part of groups. You see it from so many different perspectives. So hopefully this can help you guys to kind of consider how to get ahead, how to keep a really good culture alive. First one for me is that I think everyone should kind of be on board with some of these things from the very beginning. And if everyone is working to make sure that the project is a success, meaning it's going to bring company revenue, it's going to drive business, it removes that personal taste. It removes us as designers and our personal kind of preferences of what we love in design. And it makes it geared more towards what the team can do. So my first one is really that. I just think, we've been doing that even with like office hours, just making sure what we're trying to do here is produce good stuff that you guys really want to know. Yep. So if that's the goal in mind, everything kind of falls into place a little better.
Yep.
Right.
And I think that helps to like redefine what success is. So hopefully in the next few weeks, few months, you'll see some changes in office hours coming your way. Super secret sneak peek. Nick and I are working on some stuff that we're going to present next week, but that is us helping to redefine success. What could office hours be? What would be success for the Adobe teams? What would be success for you guys? Is we're constantly working as a team together to try to level that up for everybody.
Yeah. And it's a little more challenging in a lot of ways now, because some people are being forced to do this all virtually, whereas opposed, to meeting in rooms and everything. And I think there's some advantages to this kind of challenge we're hitting now, because you're forced to have to do a lot of things. You can't just sit quietly in a room anymore if it's 3 or 4 of you on a screen, right? So a lot of these really do take into consideration even now. My second one is kind of along the lines of that first one, but changes do not indicate failure, mistakes, or rejection. And again, it's usually changes are driven by the data. Someone's telling you, maybe that's not the right font choice for this, or the color palette does not relate to what the essence of this successful brand's going to look like. So data is going to change it. I think it's just one of those things to not be attached too much to a lot of the work. I had a hard time with that, like releasing me as the author of stuff. And I take it so personally when something didn't work in the first few years. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We all kind of feel that a lot, right?
Yep. And our friend Gus has just joined the chat. Hey, Gus, what's up?
Oh, nice. What's up, Gus?
And yes, confirmation, 3% conference is free for students. So go sign up for 3% conference. We'll be back on Wednesday to be doing that. And we definitely have prizes for that. So make sure you submit your portfolios, hashtag Adobe Office Hours. And we for sure have prizes for that for some of our favorites. And we're talking about the top 5 things that are good takeaways for creating a good portfolio.
Nice. So, and I'm just seeing that someone mentioned I look like a movie director.
You could, yeah.
I'll take that as a compliment. That's great.
All right, moving on to your third commandment. Tell us, Nick, what should we do?
All right, my third commandment is suggest, don't impose. It's better to make the suggestion of maybe something you feel should be a change or something you feel can be improved. It's better to suggest an idea than to try to force it. And this is even sometimes a leader could be doing this too. I think sometimes when a leader imposes something, it's left without any rationale, and you just think it's because the person's view is different. But I always just say, suggest it, but back it up with why. Yes. And I think that's really, really strong with that. Right?
Exactly. Yep. Okay. And adding that question of why. Why are we doing this? Why is it this way? Why is it that way? That helps to just self-check yourself as well as the people that you're working with. Everyone stays on an even ground with asking that, can we define why?
Yes, exactly. Fourth one. This is really important too, and I stress this with my students all the time, is that a very, very rich and like full of information creative brief is essential. Like you will be just multiple people in multiple directions if the creative brief is not truly verified and put through the test. I work with a lot of people that tell me they get very, very weak creative briefs from people in their business, and then they wonder why the art is not good the first time they present it, or there's tons and tons of revisions, and then there's frustration. So you're totally misguided as a team. A team's going to work 10 times better if you have those key drivers of what the project's going to be all in mind. And if everyone knows that, then you're good to go.
Yep. Okay. I like to describe this to one of my project managers as trying to make dinner in the dark, that I'm just going to kind of throw ingredients around. And like when we turn the lights on, if we don't already have like a plan of what it needs to be, like there's just going to be stuff all over the kitchen. Whereas having a good brief is like, cool, lights are on, know what I'm doing. I can make this in the dark because I have clear instructions. And then you end it the product that you need.
Yep, exactly. I do it with I say blueprint. Like you would never build a house without the most fully thought out blueprint.
Yep. And don't be afraid as creatives, if you're going into a project and you don't have a good creative brief, don't be afraid to ask for clarification. Like, hey, I need more direction here. I'm not sure where to go. Don't just try to take a stab and like get it, because that's not going to be helpful.
Yeah. And to anybody listening, like that's a great thing too. If you're trying to either excel in your job or get a promotion or make that raise or whatever it is, you coming in and saying, I think I have a better solution to our creative brief. It doesn't feel robust. We're not asking, 20 questions. We're just saying topic, this, color treatment, blah, that's it.
Yep.
So build a better one if that's something you have the capability of doing. This fifth one, and this is where it kind of just plays off of like building a better culture and everything else, but learn patience, learn sympathy, and learn respect. Like all of these play such an important role. I was lucky enough to be on a really great team for a good 7 years that we still to this day are like in touch with each other, and we always talk about how great we were working. And what was interesting was if anybody came into the fold and didn't have any of these three main key kind of personality traits, they just didn't survive. It was like you learn this and individually you got to do this, but try to get others to kind of understand as well. Like be patient, have some sympathy, have some empathy. It really, really works for sure.
Absolutely.
And then admit when you screw up. I think that's another thing that's like, I think there's we've all been in situations where we don't, and it builds up, and eventually it's going to come back and point to you. So do it immediately, and then do everything you can to make it right, and then never do it again.
Yep.
Yep.
And if you're gonna screw it up, if you think that there's possibility, really screw it up. Make it shoot for shoot for something so big that if it does fail, it's going to be disastrous. But then if it goes through, then it's totally amazing. And if it doesn't go well, totally be like, yep, I went all in on something that I probably shouldn't have. It didn't work out. Let's move on to the next thing. I'm going to keep the passion. I'm going to keep the scope, but I'm just going to try to redirect to make sure that it's a win this time.
Exactly. Yep. All right, my seventh one. This is the first slide I show every student in every class. Your reputation is your livelihood. And just going off of the small community we have here and the people we're meeting on a daily basis through things like this on Behance and everything, we're meeting so many more people. So the better I think your reputation and your attitude and your response time and all of those things that make up who you are and what your reputation is, that becomes the stepping stones to bigger and better things coming your way. So I always just try to tell them that and be honest and trustworthy. I think sometimes that's fairly new to the creative business, where it's years ago, maybe the trend was to be a little stuffy in creative spaces, you know what I mean? The kind of the person that just didn't bend or compromise. I love that this is something that we're all talking about now. And so big one for me is this one. Yep.
And on this one, another thing that I've heard people say is that perception is reality, that how people perceive you is the reality of how you are to them. So make sure that how you're engaging with others, that you're managing that perception so that the reality of how they experience you is correct.
Yep. And my ninth and I believe final one this is the last slide I show in my class, because I want to reiterate this so much, but nobody, I mean, people in other teams that you might work with, nobody wants to work with an overly sensitive creative. And that means if you're overly sensitive, all of the commandments that I've just showed you and probably what Andrew's going to show you, you didn't obey. It's like this idea that it's our way or the highway is just not going to work in any team. So make sure you're not that person, because I love when I can recommend a creative because they are the opposite of this, because they don't take things personally and they're open to just going back to my first slide. It's all about the success of this project. Remove the emotion and everything else out and you'll do just fine.
Absolutely.
So those are mine. I can't wait to get into yours.
All right, let's do it. So real quick though, James Howell said, is there a step-by-step of the training videos? Yes. I think you're referencing the daily creative challenges that I'm currently doing for Illustrator. You can go to behance.net/challenge/illustrator and it will have all the recaps of those videos that you can go back and look at what we did. We'll also be live again in about 6 hours from now, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard, 12 p.m. Sydney, to do this morning's challenge again tonight for our friends in Sydney. So if you want to join us for that as well, you can. But yes, we will, Cornell, have the slides 100% in this link up here, which is not a Discord, it is a Slack. But you can get the slides. We'll put them up there right after this so that you can get these and share them with your friends.
I love seeing everybody's responses. You're right. No one wants to work with a crybaby.
Yep.
And you know what? Those crybabies never get the promotions, never get the upward mobility.
Yep.
Trust me. It's the way it goes.
Yep. So we're moving to blue for mine. Blue is not my favorite color, but it's my favorite color to wear. That's completely irrelevant to what we're talking about. Yeah. Fun fact. So here's my, I think I have 4 or 5. And the first one is make it so they can't break it. This is more working with a team that isn't necessarily creatives, working with a larger team. And this, when I design systems, I try to make it so that it can work in Google Slides. So if they're working in, Google Docs or something, it's like, cool, this has been built in these, super complex Adobe programs, but you need to be like Susan in accounting needs to be able to use this and put it on letterhead. So it's something that you need to, as you build it out, think of how can I deliver it to them so that all their questions are answered so that they can't break it.
Love that.
And so where I'm thinking of how they'll use it, not how I'll use it as a designer. So that changes your mindset a little bit.
That's great.
My second one is make it rain to save you the pain.
For a second there, I thought if you rhymed every one of these, I was going to go back and do mine.
Oh, yeah. Did I? I might have gotten close.
You got very close.
Okay. Make it rain to save you the pain. And that is to give them all of the files they could ever want. When I export files, I'm giving them an EPS, a PNG. I'm giving them the source files. I'm giving them a Creative Cloud library. I'm giving them paragraph styles, character styles. I'm giving them the setup of a Google document that is set in their type hierarchy. I give them as much as I possibly can so that they can have all of the things they'll ever need, and that keeps them from coming back to me and makes them feel loved as a client, as a collaborator, especially working in-house, of saying, hey, like, this is great. You actually don't need to come to me for everything. I trust you to execute this system. Here are all of the assets. I trust you to execute the system. And if they don't do it right, then you can come back and correct, but hopefully you're informing them and equipping them to do it themselves.
And that's you're going to be referred. You're going to be, from that point on, they're going to highly recommend you. That's great.
And this goes back to one of Nick's points. My next one is put the goals over your feelings. Feelings are personal. Goals are shared. So either side of that, the client or your team can have a feeling towards something. Oh, I feel like it should be this. I feel like it should be that. I feel like I should do this as the creative. But if we together are at a goal, they're like, oh, we're trying to reach this goal. Both of our feelings become irrelevant and we're just working toward that goal. And so that's kind of my third one, is make sure that even if you're against something, you may have to be okay with that to reach the goal that you're going to get together.
Yeah, totally great.
My fourth one, I think I have one more after this, is invest before you try to make a withdrawal. This is a big one, is you need to invest in your team before you ask them for something. Before you take a big jump, you try to do something super creative, before you shake up a rebrand, you need to invest and build that equity, right? A lot of times it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so if you start to, allow those steps backs to happen, and then at a certain point, be like, hey, all those steps we took back, I'm going to need us to run for a second. And hopefully we have the equity built in our professional relationship that we can run. And that's when you kind of make that withdrawal.
What are some of the things, what would be a great example of how you would, what's an investment you would make to someone before asking?
Yeah, so very much working with teams is like, cool, like if you really are passionate about that and I don't think it's going to work, like, yeah, we can totally go with that. It's just a preference. I don't like it. If it's something that it's like, oh man, I need these things, I need them tomorrow, is like, oh man, there's a process here, but like, okay, maybe I can get this in and I can put in a little extra effort to give that to you, to, break the rules a little bit and bend them here and there so that when you want to shatter the rules, they're like, oh yeah, let's do it.
He's helped us out a lot. He's gone like over invested more because they can look back and say all the times that you did maybe that extra mile.
Yep.
Love
exactly.
It. Perfect.
So then here, the fifth commandment that I have, unify communication to maximize adoption. And this is say what we need to say, right? We know that song, say what I need to say. This is say what we need to say. And this is making sure that as you move as a team and as collaborators, you are all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm launching a rebrand. I try to take note of what people are going to be saying and communicate to the team, to the staff, to say, hey, if someone asks this question, this is your response. If someone says this is what you say back. And that way it becomes cohesive and it becomes something that drives momentum. So I'm working on a rebrand for a big church in Northern California, and something that the idea of a rebrand is scary to them. And so we've talked about it as a rebrand internally, but now that I'm expanding it to a bigger team, I'm saying, hey guys, we are going to activate this new initiative to drive some momentum. And so that is something that all of the staff is using that phrasing. If someone's saying like, well, why do we need this? What are we doing? Oh, we're launching it to drive momentum toward a bigger future, period. And so helping to define that communication across your team helps bring everyone together and helps collaboration turn into something that just pushes momentum on your project.
Oh yeah, and then it lessens the fear from anybody who is worried that rebrand sounds like a very ominous kind of approach or direction, and you're changing it with a benefit.
Yep.
And I think that's the smartest way to think about it. It's
Absolutely.
really great.
Yep.
Really, really great.
Yep. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about any of that stuff, we'll be posting that in our student Slack if you want to get in there. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to DM us. Find us on social, tag us on Behance, do whatever you want to get in hold and ask us some questions, or you can drop questions in chat. We're going to move into our segment where we start looking at some portfolios, giving you some feedback. So if you have suggestions for the show, or if you have questions about what we're talking about, please do that. And we would love to take your suggestions. We're planning some big stuff, so let us know what you want to see. And oh man, I'm so excited to share with you guys. Hopefully it all goes through. All right, so let's hop over and start looking at some portfolios. As always, these portfolios are not specific to these people. All the advice we give is for everyone to apply to their portfolios, to their work. So make sure that you are taking note of the overarching concepts that we talk about in these and how we can apply them to your portfolios.
Excellent.
So Nick, lots blah blah blah. Let's hop in with our friend Studiodtalk, who is in chat. Hello, Studiodtalk.
Awesome.
In from New Delhi.
Yes, I believe you're in the chat. We saw you earlier. My first question would be, how are you? How is it using a studio name rather than your name? I always love to ask that question. Particularly with designers that are doing this. Even on Behance, it's kind of interesting because you can have a company page for your company, but most people I still see have a individual page.
Yep. I
So,
just moved to doing Hoch.co. I guess we're the same way that way, that you have Nick Longo, right? And then I run everything through Hoch.co.
Yes.
Yep.
And I have our company page, and that allows for myself and any freelancer or independent contractor who's worked with us on a project. It can still live there, but then they can share. It could be a shared project for them.
Yep. All right. So what do we want to look at an individual one? Do we want to talk about it overall first? How do we want to go?
Yeah, overall looks it's very, very colorful. I like the vibe of everything here. I like the originality too. I'm seeing good stuff. It's funny how I think we're all learning as we scroll, particularly on Behance, and you're seeing it in chronological order. So you see how people's designs have really evolved over time, which is kind of cool. So I think there's it looks like more risky and maybe kind of challenging things up front. And then as you drive down, it looks like maybe some of the stuff that you had been doing before. I like to edit that. I've been getting good at taking off a lot of stuff, maybe giving yourself a 5 to 10 year window or whatever it is. Depending on where you are in your career, obviously too, of maybe editing back a few things. It could hurt you if something is in there, hey, he's here or she's here. We don't know.
They are here.
We just don't know.
Yes. Oh yeah. Cause we're dating back to 2013 here. And it looks like you've grown a lot from that.
Yes.
And so I did the same thing, Nick. I literally archived my entire Instagram and started over.
Oh, good. Okay.
Just to be cool, we're going to keep it fresh, keep projects that I just want to show. So I would suggest that there is a point where it kind of gets into, okay, you can see that they're starting to learn things, but then we get up here, it's oh, this is really good work. It's consistent. It has a unique style, the same kind of vibes going through. So I agree. I'd take down some of that old work just to focus on that newer work. And then overall, I think that the style is really fun. I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you're going for career-wise, what you're trying to grow to.
Yes.
It looks over here, graphic designer, digital creative, and photographer, freelancer. Let's hop in and look at the my better is better than your better. My goodness.
Perfect.
Love that.
There we go.
So it looks like you have a lot of individual pieces. Don't scroll down. I hate my initial design yet. If you don't want them shown, take them away.
It's going to be the highlight of the next segment.
That's it. Yep. So I love that you have a lot of individual pieces. I think this is a gorgeous illustration. But when I look at kind of the individual pieces, there isn't like a through line. I'm not sure what you're trying to market toward. And so I would put like something like this fun illustration. I'd put this on a wall as a mural. I would put it on maybe a magazine cover as like a spot illustration kind of thing. I want to see it in context to see what it is. The style is really fun and it's really unique, but it seems like it might just be something that is like, oh, I practiced and like made this thing. Whereas you could very much pull it together to be like, oh, this is an actual product that I could sell to a client.
Yes. Yeah. And I think there's like, that's the first step to take in this. This illustration would look so great in like a lobby of a hip office space or something like that.
Yeah, like a WeWork kind of,
Yeah, so, definitely expand a little on some of these, turn this into a little bit of a chapter rather than just a page. I think that's like the number one thing I would say, because I do like this. I don't know. And when you look at it sometimes on Behance, you get the dark background against this gray, and I don't know exactly where your image starts and stops. So I want to see it framed. I want to see it really highlighted as a showcase. I think that would look really, really great.
I'd love to see some more of these, and it wouldn't be that hard to keep this fun pattern that you have, but do different people. That maybe do a guy that like has glasses on it, or like that it's these different highlights of these people with that fun kind of hair, and maybe the guy's hair is pink and this like periwinkle color comes down where the pink is, that you kind of use that and mix up for different profiles just to show diversity in kind of that style.
Yeah, definitely really cool.
Nice.
I love this.
What other one do we want to look at?
Let's go with did we pre-select? Let's see what's in on. Does he have no? We have to look at it. Oh, New York skyline's kind of interesting. So that's a good example where he took an image that he did and has shown it in a few applications, and now we're seeing it kind of in different scenarios.
Yes.
And I'm cool with that. I think what you can do here would be nice to maybe even make an abbreviated version of this that's just like NYS, some kind of like a little monogram, and put it on smaller applications. Just show the versatility of some of your designs. That could be really fun too.
Absolutely. And I'd love to see this put in context of like where it would be, right? If we're talking about New York, putting it like spray painted on concrete or something like that.
Subway stop.
Some subway stop, that kind of stuff. So I would definitely put it in more context. I'd put it like on a t-shirt maybe. And I think seeing it in more context would be good. I think this is good work. But again, I think I'm not sure looking overall like what your thing is. And it says you're a graphic designer, digital creative photographer. Yeah. But then there's also like some branding here of the New York skyline. I would like hone it in to figure out like what are the buckets that I want to work in, and then rework and represent some of these projects in those styles. And maybe it's like, cool, this is obviously photography. This is obviously design. This is obviously this kind of manipulation illustration that you like to do, and really hone those in, because right now it's very much kind of a shotgun approach, and we want to laser it in just a little bit more with these projects.
Yeah, and give us that objective at the beginning. I know you mentioned, I'm glad you mentioned too, like you've got a lot more robust stuff on Instagram, and I just took a quick look there, and you definitely do. Like that to me makes a huge impact, and that's all it needs to be. But when you are still building in Behance, I think people do want to see a bit of a title of this thing, what the objective was, and one or two things that show your process. That's kind of like the lowest common denominator what we have to have here. Like then you can build up and do a little bit more if needed. But we do want to see these things a little bit more presented. That's all. That's all I'd like to see on the Behance stuff.
What is the Instagram, Nick?
Oh, it is Studiodtalk, Studiodtalk. So Studiodtalk.
There it is. Yeah. All right, so let's jump over here and look real quick. I think this is a little bit more curated.
This is great, man. The Drake one is really killer.
I totally agree. I've actually seen this piece. I think this piece was actually posted by the Leopard by Adobe Awards, maybe.
Very Very cool.
I think, yeah. So I love these pieces. This is really good work. I would curate your Behance to be a little bit more in this. Yes. And yes, I was swapping screens. Sorry. If it ever goes blank and I start like referencing stuff on the screen, that means I forgot. If not, then I'm doing it intentionally so that I can not show you what's happening on my Instagram or any other the other secret things lingering in the background of my computer.
There's some, you scroll down and you've definitely done it. You've put things into great application. I'm seeing it on walls in very applicable spaces that really feel good to it. The Mickey Mouse one, the Space Shuttle one. There's some really neat, beautiful stuff there. So like, I'm getting a different vibe here than like on the Behance. So I'm curious to know if maybe you're getting more of your opportunities on Instagram. So if it's working for you there, man, like fantastic, like keep it up. But I'm curious to see, I'm going to click on one just to see, are you giving us some information when you write? Yeah. So perfect. You are putting a lot of stuff on there. You're telling what brushes you've used, what app you did it in. That's fantastic. Just little behind the scenes stuff to me is really extra mile.
Yep. Great job.
Yeah, man.
Good work,
this
sir.
Is great.
Yep. All right, cool.
I'm going to give that a follow.
Boom. Follow along. Let's hop over into our next one, and that is our friend Olivia Oleary. Olivia, if you are in chat, let us know.
Saw you.
Come say hello. Olivia, let's go to your homepage. So we're just going to hop right into this one because I love it. So you say, hi, I'm Olivia. I'm a UX UI designer and front-end developer currently based in Toronto. Again, office hours worldwide. I enjoy designing meaningful user experiences and developing digital products that are impactful and inclusive. Not convinced? Check out some of my work. I freaking love that.
You do.
So much. I love that you're like, here's me and here's a little bit about me. Also, if you don't believe me, let my work do the talking. So I love
let's put on the let's put on the gloves.
I know, right?
I don't know. And what do you guys think? You're seeing it right there. Here's my thought is I don't like to bring in any doubt with my work or my experience or everything like that. And I do like the catchiness of it. I do like that you've taken the risk in doing fun copy. I'm a huge believer in that. But I guess maybe I'm just seeing it as like, maybe it's too soon to say not convinced because all I'm seeing right now is just a paragraph. And so I'm just curious what everybody else would think. So that's my opinion.
I love it.
That's why we're here.
Yep.
Difference of opinions are great.
That's
right?
it. The chat loves when Nick and I disagree.
Sassy. Thank you, Lisa.
Yes.
We're getting sassy.
Yes, sassy. I love some good sassy copy. I mean, if any of you follow me on literally anything I do, you know that I love some good sassy copy. So I like it a lot.
Perfect.
All right,
but let's go. But what about first impression? Even regardless of that, just visually.
Yes. So
how are you feeling?
I think that the thing that I like about that, and this kind of goes into it, is it gives me a call to action, which I don't see on a lot of sites. A lot of sites are like, "Hi, here's me," and then you're just like, "What do I do?" And I love that here it's like, "Hey, here's me. Here's something that you want to do. Check out my work. Here's the call to action." And so I love that I like want to click on that, and I click on it, and then it takes me to your page with your work. I love the animation you have here. It's super cool the way it comes in. Feels very UI UX. I like that you have you at the bottom, some contact again with the call to action. Great job.
I do like that a lot.
But let's go ahead and look at one of your case studies. Let's look at Parking Sucks.
Perfect. Let's do it. Great idea. I love the idea of this. I'd love to know too, Olivia, if this was a class project or how, it looks like you did do that at your college. Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
One thing I would say at the very beginning, when I get to this first page and we see the screen and we see like a flow chart, I think the first thing I need is maybe a headline above it that just says, changing how you find parking or whatever your objective is.
Put it to the right of the screen.
Yeah, there you go. You got perfect space for it, right? I know you got a brief and you got a task, and I'm super happy with that. You've got a category. You showed your tools. Excellent, right? But I want the headline up there on the top just to tell me what to start expecting and how to judge this. Did you do that? Did you fulfill the promise? But other than that, like it's just going right into it. And you have this great picture too of the parking meters that are just like seriously like last thing you want to approach, right? When you're leaving after a night out or something.
Yes.
So I do like that you're showing the pain there, which is really, really good.
Yeah, I think that it's, we've talked a lot about case studies, holding your hand through it. And this feels like you are doing a great job at holding our hand, but it almost feels like the meeting to where like you come into the meeting and immediately it's like, all right, open to page 4. We're going to start reading through where it could be like, I mean, especially the name parking sucks is like, all right, guys, we're going to talk about why parking is literally the worst thing ever. Here's this problem. And I actually fixed it. So I would make sure that you have copy that, I mean, you like some sassy copy. I'd put some sassy copy headlines in here, really get us excited about going into it, because as we scroll through, my thought is like, there is so much content. It is really, really good content. It's really well presented case study, but it feels like drudging. It feels like I'm like drudging through it. Like I'm having to like pull myself through it because I'm like, man, it's so much reading and there's a lot going on here. And so making it fun and a little bit sassy and about like, here's what we tackled this point. Here's what we did here. Here's what this is. Just give us the cliff notes on some of these and keep the depth that you have of the case study, but we need some cliff notes to just help us through.
You know, even just a larger scale headline, bigger than what you currently have, maybe 2 to 3 of them that does exactly what you just mentioned. And it's a little bit of a navigator through this. So, and it gives you that chance to be a little witty, like you said, with the copy. I think that would be a really fun way to really, I don't want to say animate, but just give this a pulse a little bit.
Give it some life,
right? Because I think sometimes when we see the UI UX ones, I know exactly why you built it this way. I mean, a lot of times this is how the instructors want you to do it. This is how an investor would want to see it if they were looking to invest in this. But I think there's a certain overlay that we have to add to these to really make them sellable for your portfolio work.
Yep.
That's all we're asking for.
I agree. Yeah, but she says, totally agree. I actually ended up converting it to a Medium article because some of my case studies are text heavy. That's a great idea. Is almost make it a blog about a project instead of featuring it as a case study. That's really interesting.
I should say too that, and I've done a lot of Medium and I've done a lot of Behance. Behance and them are very similar in the way they're structured. So like, again, you can take that same method and apply it to the Behance project by adding captions and doing a little bit more of that. Or if you're just uploading pure graphics to it and stacking it. Great point though. I think doing the Medium thing to me means you could be finding a potential new client that way. Because it's literally like finding work on LinkedIn. Medium is totally great. You're going to have a decision maker rather than just someone who's appreciating your work.
Yep. And then when I go back to your page and I start sorting by these categories, it's a little confusing to me that like you have a section for case studies, and maybe this is what you're meaning, that these are more of like the write-ups of like the Medium article kind of things. Yeah. So I would maybe put that in as like blogs or like informational development or something, where I'm like, well, the UI UX, why would this not be a case study? Sure. Because it really is. Like, let's click on the artisan one.
Yes.
All right, so looking at the artisan one, I think this is pretty much the same case study that you have. I think that it still is super text heavy. So having the distinction between what's a case study and what's your work, I'd just probably either get rid of case studies or put everything in as a case study.
Cool. Yeah.
Because this looks great. This actually, to me, tracks a lot better. That you have first iteration, second iteration, third iteration, and you have images. That it is just really flowing and having little elements of more information for us. Yeah. And then I love that you have the GIFs in here that give it some kind of fun kind of engagement.
Yes. Olivia, a question for you. Is this the branding for it? Is that the logo? Is that the final type? Are these placeholders? I'd be a little confused in some way. I do think it's a nice, minimal, calm vibe if that's what you were going for, but it does feel a little like it could be a placeholder. If I'm going back to the Parking Sucks one, there really wasn't a brand or a logo defined in that. That felt more like the headline of your project, not the name of it. It didn't seem like Project Sucks was the brand, that was the app or whatever it was. So I'm feeling a little disconnected there, and I just was curious to know what you're doing with this one on the artisan one.
Yep, and I hopped over to the Alias project as well to kind of see. It looks like there's some storyboarding, some iteration. So it looks like a lot of this is placeholder, user flow kind of work. Yes. And so maybe pair up with someone who does branding and try to get that together. You can do shared projects on Behance. So maybe hook up with some of the people that are here in our link. There we go. In our Slack channel, find someone who does branding, and maybe hook up with them to get some logos, to get some branding into some of these projects. Because I think that the concept for a UI UX person, right, would look at this and be like, wow, this is really good UI UX, work. But as someone who's like, oh, I'm looking to hire a product or build a product, I look at this and I'm like, oh, it doesn't look done. Like, this doesn't look like a product that I could ship. Working with someone to do the branding, to really make it a final product, I think would be super beneficial for a lot of these.
Yeah. And I'm hoping too, I know with my little minimal XD experience, a lot of that stuff can just be interchangeable with links. So, and you could do universal color changes on XD and all that kind of stuff too. So maybe it's not it sounds like a lot, but maybe it's not. It'd be a great little addition to a lot of these case studies.
Yep. Yes. And Lisa says there are so many branding people in Slack. Yes, there
What are you trying to say, Lisa?
Yes.
What are you trying to say?
Yes, I like to add to Behance when my projects are more visual than case studies. Nice. Yeah. And I think that if you are going to add that in, getting with a branding designer would be a great idea and super fun.
Excellent.
Which, again, with new things that are coming up in office hours, hopefully, cross your fingers, we will help you facilitate that and give you some opportunities for better collaboration with teams.
Yeah. As we transition to, I'd love to know, Olivia, how's your are you looking for a job? What situation are you in right now? What can we do? What other question might you have?
Oh, yeah.
In the position you're in? I always love to hear that from people that are out there searching. Do you have something right now? Are you fishing? Let us know. Love to know.
And also, if you've gotten anything from office hours that has, you've changed a technique and gotten a job, or you've pitched a client differently, let us know. We love hearing that those success stories of things that you've learned here and taken into your career. So please, in chat, go ahead and put that in there. We are in a constant need for your affirmation. It is exciting for us as like your instructors to see you guys grow and thrive. Oh my goodness, I just threw my headphones in the air.
That was good.
All right.
But that quote of yours that you just said that's our first t-shirt.
That's it. Yep. Yeah. New office hours merch line. Speaking of t-shirts.
Coming soon.
Yeah. Speaking of t-shirts, let's hop into Katherina. Yes, nailed it. Katherina Blettner. And let's look at Jill Sander mobile UX design. This image is so intriguing to me that I have to click on it. I'm like, is this like a fashion line? What's happening? Olivia says, absolutely. I'm currently interviewing for UI UX jobs, so it's great to hear what you think of my portfolio. Sweet. That's good. Great. Good context. Yep.
Good. Good luck. Let us know.
Cool. So let's hop in here to Katherina. If you're in chat, say hello. Let us know that you are here. And let's look at this project that just feels so cool. Nick, any thoughts right off the bat?
Let's see. So one, I love that the first thing I see is designing a new mobile experience, shopping experience for Jill Sandler. So I love that there's the objective up front.
Yep.
I would love to see maybe instead of going right into your font choice and a color thing is maybe a little more of the theory, a little more of the ethos of what you're going to do now with Jill. Yep. I'm not too familiar with this brand. I know it only because I love those big chunky font logos, and I've seen this before. I'm assuming it is a clothing company, correct?
I think so.
Know? Yeah, I'm assuming classic
I guess
white.
So, yeah.
For 600 euros, it looks like. So I think I just want to know a little bit more about what is the approach here, because as we go through it, it is very one color. It goes through. I see some stuff here. I'm not exactly sure if I'm the target audience for this, so maybe telling me who the target audience would be. Then I'm gonna go, yep, you nailed it. Or right now I'm sitting here going, who's interested in this?
Yep.
So I'd love to know maybe a little bit more of that. But I'm a fan, and we've looked at a few of the other case studies already here, is she's definitely put in a nicer vibe of the layout. I'm feeling backgrounds changing. Hierarchy seems very good. There's some guidance, right? What do you say?
Yeah, I think that it does feel like it feels like it all is kind of like just there, and I don't know what to sort it out or like where to go with it. Like it's all really good. I'm like, this is rad. It's cool, but I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And so adding some type in here, adding some copy to help explain and walk us through. I think like the shirt is super cool, but I'm like, is this an actual shirt? Is this just like a header image to show that like you're thinking about the UX? Like, what is this? And then when
Yeah,
we start,
good point.
yeah, when we start to get down and showing some of the screens, this is great. Like it looks so sleek, so updated, but talking about like, hey, how does this redesign match up with what the actual brand is, right?
Yes.
How do we say, oh, this is what is right for the brand, this is what the brand needs, by addressing these kind of issues? Even with the black mode of cool, it's cool that, you know, the colors are black and white, and then we have this mode that like goes full black, but putting something in here that's like, hey, because of the stark black and white of the brand, doing a dark mode that is black and white that just flips back and forth felt like it was the right, you know, presentation to further brand equity, stuff like that. Is talk about the reasons why you did things, because right now it's cool, but I don't understand why.
It's also sad though, because of the people. Like again, there might be a reason you have chosen very, you know, kind of like non-expression models in there. I would need to know that, because I'll look at it and be like, well, you know, we always talk about adding that human touch. That obviously makes a huge difference in anything you're doing, but is there a reason maybe for that?
Yep.
That
And if
might
you're talking,
be good to know.
yeah, if you're talking like, oh, it's boutique high fashion, I'm like, yeah, these people should totally just be like they are, which is probably what it is, that they're just high fashion models that are like, don't give me your face.
Yes.
But I think noting that somewhere of like, what is this? So a mobile experience, Rachel Sanders, a clean and modern concept for a mobile online application. Tell us a little bit that like, oh, it's a high fashion brand. It's a boutique. It wants to be edgy. Give us those keys to really key in on and start looking at, and that would be helpful for us.
Maybe this could be only for a particular collection that has been released that is it's all about black and white. Maybe there's a social impact behind it. I'm feeling that vibe with this. So if you threw that into the mix, maybe that might help us fill in the gaps a little bit.
Yeah.
You know? Perfect.
All right, Katherina, let's look at one more of yours, which is WOY.
Yeah.
Yoy.
Watch with joy.
Woy?
Oh.
WOY. Boy, how would you say that?
Yeah, I guess it's a combination of watch and joy. So
woy. Yeah.
Woy.
Woy.
Yeah.
Okay,
we're gonna go with woy.
Yep. So initially, right into it, the thing that gets me is like we talk about woy, and it's supposed to be like, oh, it's this like watch with joy. This gray like kills it.
Yeah.
Like
you go into
The gray is just so rough to come into right away, especially over this image with the idea that all of the white has been pushed to gray again. Designing online streaming software for watching movies and series, mobile and web, light and dark mode, focusing on usability and UX to create an easy and joyful experience while picking and watching the best shows and movies. If you're going to talk about a joyful experience, I think gray is like the last color that you should be putting forward as like the main thing. And
maybe the first movie I'm going to highlight is like Trolls or something that says like goes with joy. Like I love that. That's a great tagline. The watch with joy is great, but emphasize that in your visual just as much, because I feel like we get into either sadder or, you know, and you got the Joker there too. It's like just the tone of those movies gets a little sad. If joy is your key thing, get a few punches of fun in there. I think you'll nail that. I agree. Yeah, especially I think Moonlight being like, if we're talking about watch with joy and then we go into Moonlight, I'm like, I don't know if joy is like the thing that I would describe that movie. Yeah. I agree. Try to do something that is like joy pop, that has the fun, that has the bright color. Yes. That really does that. And then showing the system, I think this is where it starts to get interesting. Working with small design system to create a nice flow. Again, this gray is just killing everything. Doing some color and doing some bright white will just make everything pop, make it understand a little bit more. But I like the way that you've shown, here's how we lay things out on desktop, on mobile, what the kind of flow is. To me, that it's like, oh, cool, I understand what the ideal is behind this. Yes. I'm a big fan of... and I think we're all streaming probably more than ever right now, and even on devices. And I'm really seeing, this is the one area that I'm seeing huge differences in when an interface works fantastic, right? So this whole idea of like watching with joy, if joy is all about the experience you're getting from here, maybe I think we need to see something that's a little more of a game changer in the interface. And this is talking from someone that doesn't do this. I know it's probably maybe going off on a tangent, but you know what I mean? Like, if you could show me one game-changing thing here that works with this, that maybe it makes life easier as you're streaming, I'd love to know that.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
I'd
Or
love to
yeah,
see it.
maybe it's, the hamburger menu or whatever, like has a fun animation that like it
Yes.
just sparks joy. And I don't think that I get that. It feels kind of locked in.
Yeah, yeah. Wondering too, like just, that's an area to kind of wonder if what other thing can be of use to me as the user. I don't know
Yep.
if it's just universal remote, if there's always a volume thing that controls my TV while I'm still streaming, so I don't have to grab the other remote. Anything like that would be a cool little game changer.
Yep. And then
But
moving
this
in.
shows a lot of work and it shows a lot of great stuff.
Yep. Moving into your design, I would note what fonts these are that you're using. Just putting a
Yeah.
placeholder copy to me. This is another opportunity. You could have some sassy copy. You could have something fun there, or just note what these typefaces are. And then once you get into the actual like UI UX, I think the grays and blacks work better. But I still want the energy. Like here, the white and then that blue are really popping and giving it that energy and that fun. Whereas I think you lose it a lot of other places. Seeing an application is gorgeous. Like this entire thing is like, yeah, this feels great. The way that you're using colors, the branding, the layout, everything feels right and feels great. But I've waited until like the very end to get to that point where I'm like, this is a cool new experience.
Yep.
So I would maybe put that last image first and then just work on getting the deck to really bring out the color, bring out that white, create the contrast, have it vibrant, and communicate that. Because, yeah, this bottom section is gorgeous, but it's completely buried.
Yep. Yeah. It comes to life. It looks like I can see the work. That's always a huge positive. You can see how much went into this. And I think that's great.
Yep. Fantastic.
Very cool.
All right. So going back to a quick announcement. Again, the 3% conference is coming up next Wednesday. And that will be something that Nick and I will be presenting at. We'll be doing a special episode of Office Hours. Nick, what are we talking about during that time?
Next week?
Yes.
The Wednesday one.
The Wednesday one, not the Friday one.
We're sharing our top 10, I believe.
Five.
Something?
Yeah.
Things we have learned throughout talking to you guys and spending time in kind of refining your portfolios, particularly like just gearing in mind with knowing how heavily competitive it's going to be, giving you any competitive edge that we can. That's what we're going to be updating you on.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll be doing that next Wednesday. You can register for that. It is free for students, so you can just go to 3%conf.eventcore.com. There it is. Thank you, Cody. Drop that in there. So you can sign up for that and come join us. We will have special prizes for that one. Join us next Wednesday, and then we'll be back next Friday. We're going to keep next Friday's theme a surprise because there are some options of what it could be. So make sure that you tune in next Friday. I know. And we'll see what happens next Friday. Make sure you come back and tune in. Nick, do you have any overarching takeaways of what we talked about today, talking through how to work with teams or even some of the portfolios that we had?
Yeah, I just think it's that extra mile all along. I think if you looked at the common thread through everything we mentioned to you guys today, it is going that extra mile with folks. I think you can obviously see someone on a team that maybe isn't doing full collaboration or full ownership of their work, whatever. You can admire the person that is. That's the person to model yourself after. That's the person to be. I think it just, again, it's all based on your reputation and what that goes with you anywhere you go, particularly now that we're so connected through LinkedIn and all of these channels, that goes with you. So I just think that's the most important thing. What do you think is the common thread to leave everybody with?
Yeah, I think the common thread is to basically treat yourself as the client and give yourself what you would want. That's how I try to think of it. Is cool if I was, Carol in accounting. I like that Carol in accounting is always a thing.
I always say Peggy.
Peggy, yeah, okay. So if I was the person in accounting, what would I want? And be like, how would I want to work with that to feel like I was a part of the team, to feel like I was valued, not talked down to as a non-creative? Is be like, oh, cool, here's what I would want to do. And that's how I try to reframe my mind. So I'm not coming as it like, oh, I'm the designer that's like going to have this new system for whatever. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to literally spend 4 hours in PowerPoint so that you can make the flyer that you want. Cause I know you're going to try to do it in PowerPoint anyways. So why not? Like, let's make it work. And as always, if you guys want to submit your work, be sure to hashtag on social media using hashtag Adobe Office Hours. You can do Twitter, you can do Instagram, you can do right here on Behance. And yes, thank you. Cody has dropped our personal Instagrams on there. If you want to go give those a follow, send us a little DM, say hello. That would be great and super fun.
Excellent.
All right. I think that's going to be it for our stream
Look
today.
at us. We're getting timing down.
I
We're
know.
like
this is the
feeding
first
off each other.
time, right? This is the first time that we've had like right on time ending if I don't keep talking. But thanks so much for hanging out with us. And again, if you want to come back 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or noon Sydney time tonight, the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge is having another stream. And you can watch that just at behance.net/live. I believe there's some content from our friends in Australia coming up as well. So stay tuned. Next, we have our friend Andrea doing the Adobe XD challenge, and then our friend Kyle T. Webster doing a draw along at the end of the day. He'll have some fun jokes, some fun sound effects, so tune in for that, absolutely. And we will see you all next Wednesday at the 3% conference, as well as next Friday.
You can't get enough of us.
New episode
next week is the week.
That's it. It's all us. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
See y'all later.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. Dang it. I thought I had it, guys. All right, see you later.